What is up, y'all? Welcome back to Halo's Kitchen, the best kitchen out there, period. Is Chef A, and this video is going to be a little bit different. Later on in the video, I will be sharing my Vipassana experience. And originally, I was supposed to be, making these strawberry bars, for me to eat like a mukbang or whatever and talk about my experience at the same time with some tea. I literally recorded a video prior, but it just was all over the place, so I had to redo it. But I'm still just gonna share this with you guys because it's still a pretty good recipe. I very much enjoyed it. So pretty much right here, I just have some dark chocolate, 100% vegan or whatever, and I added some cashew coconut milk, I believe it was. It's the Elmhurst brand. I get it from Whole Foods Market. And then I decided to mix a little bit of avocado oil in there just to help it loosen up and melt more easier. Honestly, you don't even really need that. When you add the oil into chocolate to melt it, usually that's for the microwaving method. You don't really need that for the double broiler method. The milk was just enough, and the reason why I wanted to add the milk too was also because it needed to be a little bit more liquidy or whatever, so I could be able to give it a nice little drizzle in design on top of the strawberry bars. These are 100% raw, they're vegan, plant-based or whatever, and yeah, only thing is if you have a nut allergy, you will unfortunately not be able to consume this because it has walnuts, cashews, and all that. But yeah, y'all, like, I just have the chocolate in the bowl. You can use another brand if you find that another one tastes better, or you just can't find the one that I had showed previously. And you pretty much put it in a bowl and over some boiling water. Not really boiling, to be honest. Just put it on a super low heat or else it's gonna overboil, and just make sure it's not too filled up to the point of where you can't place the bowl on top. And you just want to keep stirring until it's all melted. It shouldn't really take long at all. And right here I have the strawberry bars or whatever, and pretty much this is literally just strawberries mixed with cashews and water. That's literally all that it is, and I just put it in the freezer to firm up. That's all you do. And the crust is my classic walnut date crust, and I have made that a million times. If you are really interested in how to do this, and this is your first time viewing my channel or something like this, you can check out some of my other videos where I've done like my raw vegan cheesecakes. I got a mango blackberry one. I also got a strawberry lemon one as well. So yeah, and I also have these recipes in my cookbooks as well, and I'll leave that link down below. But yeah, y'all, you just of course want to drizzle the chocolate on top, and I also topped it off with some roses as well, some dried rose petals, and I believe it said buds too on the label. So yeah, that's all that I really did, and I just served it as is, frozen, because depending on how thick you make the cashew strawberry layer, it'll have a hard time staying firm if it's just left in the refrigerator. So it's really more so like a frozen snack more than anything. But yeah, y'all, as far as this video, I'm going to start to talk about that a little bit earlier on because I did miss a few key points, and I just want to clarify the Vipassana meaning and stuff like that. Vipassana is an ancient form of meditation that focuses on observing the sensations in the body and developing a deep awareness of the present moment, and the goal is to gain insight into the nature of reality. You cultivate mindfulness and achieve inner peace by observing your thoughts, feelings, and physical sensations without attachment or judgment. That's pretty much a well summed up definition of what it truly is. And if that interests you, then you could definitely continue on to watch my story time of it, and I will go over like what it is again later in the video, but it's just kind of more so a more broken down version of what it is. And I might be repeating myself a little bit too and not getting like straight to the point if you're that type of consumer. So I definitely have timestamps listed in the description or whatever if you would prefer to skip ahead to certain parts of the video. And with this experience, it was a donations based meditation retreat, so it was 100% free of charge, and something that everyone can experience. They have multiple locations all across the United States. You could also volunteer as well once you complete your first 10-day Vipassana retreat. And it was a very, very beautiful and enlightening experience for me. And I'm so glad that, I had come across something like this. And I definitely encourage you all to give my story time a listen and try this out for yourself. And without further ado, let's get into my story time. And I encourage y'all to try out these strawberry chocolate bars too, period. What is up, y'all? Welcome back to Halo's Kitchen, the best kitchen out there, period. It's Chef A. As you can see, the setup is a little bit different right now. It's not me in the kitchen, and originally I was supposed to be eating those in this part of the video, but I did record something previously. It was just a little bit all over the place and scattered, so it just didn't work out like that. And clearly it wasn't really supposed to. Clearly right now, right here in this moment is when this message needed to be delivered. And I honestly feel like that's better anyways, because I've spent even more time, outside of the Vipassana retreat, which means I can give you a more authentic, realistic, perspective of how my time has been now that I am back in the quote-unquote real world and just back into my regular lifestyle type of thing. Now it has been definitely over 10 days. I came back on the 19th of January and it's now February 1st, I believe. Yeah, I'm filming this February 1st, literally the day before I'm uploading. So yeah, it's been, a decent amount of time, twice the amount of time as it was when I first recorded. So now I can just, give you guys a breakdown of my experience before the retreat and, the reasons why I even felt called to do something like that in the first place, my during the experience as well as after as well, and how I was able to adjust back into everything. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy it. Just a little warning, I can get a little bit chatty, but I know my content will resonate with those that it needs to, and those that need to hear the message, they'll stick around. So yeah, that's just one thing that you guys will, realize about me as I continue to be more authentic. Like, I'm just a chatty girl, and that's okay. I just got a lot to say. Something within me wants to be heard clearly. So yeah, hopefully the audio is pretty good, and I'll try to timestamp the video so that you guys can skip ahead if you want to. So yeah, and I hope you enjoy the little strawberry chocolate bars too that I put effort into making, and that you try out the recipe, because that definitely was banging for real. I just wanted it to still include some form of food, since this is still my food channel. So why don't we just start with talking about what Vipassana even is. What does that really mean? Because initially when I was telling people about this experience, or when you first hear the name, you just think, okay, I'm going to a retreat, I'm going to be meditating or whatever, but what does that really mean? Because every meditation retreat can be different. Normally when you hear Vipassana too, you hear that it's a silent retreat. And initially when I went into it, before I actually got to experience it, I was under the impression that, of course there would be silence or whatever, we wouldn't be talking to each other, but I didn't know that literally all the meditations were just in complete silence 24/7 as well, and just the level of extremes as far as the silence too, even with smells and stuff, you aren't even allowed to wear, fragrances or anything like that, and of course neither is anyone else, because that can also be distracting from the experience, which I definitely understand. I thought that I would still be able to visualize. I thought that I would be able to have some sort of audio playing, as in maybe the teacher still guiding us through it a little bit more, and just telling us how we can remove these things within us or something like that. I didn't think that it literally would just be a thing of observing. So Vipassana essentially is a form of meditation that requires you to focus on all of your senses throughout your body. You close your eyes, your eyes are intended to stay closed the entire time. You are not to visualize anything, to play anything in your head either. Of course, thoughts are naturally going to come, but with Vipassana, you learn to just let them be, let them flow, because that is how the mind is conditioned to be. It's conditioned to constantly be going and going. And once you get to a period of being in this silence for so long, you really see how active it really is. You might think, while you're out there in the real world, you haven't tried anything like this, like you already know that you're an overthinker, you got a million thoughts, but trust me, it's like amplified once you do something like this, because I definitely associated myself with being someone like that, a huge overthinker, but this was just next level. Like, and I've also practiced meditations for, years as well, but I wouldn't say it's been this consistently and this intense. This was pretty much like a meditation boot camp, pretty much. Not to scare anybody, because it's still a beautiful experience in general, but yeah, y'all, Vipassana is observing things as they are through your sensations and not wanting things to be any different, if that makes sense. Like, you experience all these different thoughts and stuff come up. You experience different emotions too that are tied to thoughts that come up as well, and that's intended to happen. Essentially, you are releasing all of the quote-unquote sankharas. That's one of the key words that we had learned during this experience, and pretty much that's kind of like a misery or whatever that you've planted, within your subconscious mind, that's finally coming up to the surface, because again, this experience is designed to take you deeper and deeper and deeper every day. You need to be in silence in order to really, how do I say it, like really truly go within and be able to hear yourself and hear what's going on, and not just being so stuck in your conscious mind. You're actually going into the subconscious, and not just through the typical ways, like, in your sleep. I feel like that's a super common way. That's one way I used to think that, I was experiencing the subconscious reprogramming and stuff like that, and getting rid of certain things, and literally just be me going to sleep and not be, going into another dream. I'm not sure if it was still doing something, but constantly I felt like I was fighting the same battle over and over again, and I wasn't making as much progress as I knew I could have. I knew that something was missing with my approach of going into my subconscious mind. So yeah, with this, I feel like it definitely helped me. Usually, all the time, for real, when it comes to these, you are to sit in the meditation posture, like, cross-legged, like I am right now. I'm not sure if y'all can see my legs, but I got my legs crossed right now. I'm sitting on my meditation pillow too. That's something I definitely recommend if you're going to do something like this. Make sure you invest in getting one. Don't be cheap. No offense, but it's definitely going to be worth it in the long run, especially if you continue to meditate after. But yeah, you're intended to sit like this and back straight for best results, so that you don't experience too much, back pain or whatever. Some people use a backrest to stay in these positions, but you just sit like that for literally an hour. Some sessions are going to be 2 hours as well, and you're to be still and to just focus on your senses, like I said, and just observe, and understanding that everything is impermanent. Because when you sit in these, certain positions or whatever, you will notice that you experience the body pain. Like, I'm sure many of you guys who have, tried out meditation, you have done this, posture position before, and it may not feel like the most comfortable for you personally. I know a lot of people, including myself, have preferred to just lay down, on our backs or whatever and meditate in that way. But for me personally, if I'm keeping it a buck, I would literally fall asleep almost every single time that I did that, unless I just was pumped up with energy. Maybe if I took some macaroon or some shilajit or something, I don't know, and it was just maybe in the middle of the day rather than like super early in the morning when I first wake up, or right before bed. Otherwise, I'm probably going to fall asleep, or my mind's just going to wander to something else. But with this, I feel like there's no choice but for you to constantly come back, and for you to be aware that you are meditating, and to not just go into something else, like such as sleep. And that's not to say that your mind won't wander. My mind wandered a million times. even while I was sitting in this position. But I feel like the discipline that came with it, constantly showing up and continuing to get comfortable sitting in this position, it became easier, and it just felt more intentional as well. Like I knew, why I kept showing up, why I kept, getting in this posture and position, and I knew that I wanted to, get more comfortable in it, if that makes sense. So I knew what I had to do. I just had to keep doing it so that things could get easier. But yes, y'all, sorry if this is a little bit all over the place and scattered and I'm not clearly explaining what Vipassana is, but yeah, overall, like I said, it's observing the senses and just learning to accept the flow of life, learning to accept that things are impermanent, as the pain that you experience while you're sitting in this posture, that is going to be impermanent as well. It's just going to flow by, and you're not to fight against it or anything like that. And even if a certain way that you're sitting, starts to feel good, like I said, some people use backrests when they sit in these positions, or the yoga blocks or whatever to hold your legs up, or pillows or whatever to make it more comfortable for you. I'm not saying it's necessarily a bad thing, but in a way it kind of takes away from accepting the pain as it is, and understanding that, that pain too shall pass. That, the more that you do it, the more that you'll get used to it and learn how to not be reactive to it. I feel like in a way that is you being reactive to that pain. When you experience that, it makes your mind not be as reactive to things, like as far as real life scenarios and stuff like that. Like, let's say you're driving and, somebody's being a butthole or whatever, and honking at you, or, let's say you're trying to merge onto the expressway, somebody won't let you over and they just keep speeding up and almost cause an accident or something like that. Doing something like this consistently can teach you how to not be so reactive to it. Like, of course, if you've been used to having road rage for so long, you might react in that moment starting off, but the more that you do it, the less reactive that you get about it. Maybe you'll stay mad, like, not as long. Let's say it might have just ruined your whole day, or maybe like a couple of hours. Like, you would probably be mad for like 4 or 5 hours about this thing, versus practicing this consistently, you only be mad for like an hour or two, versus how things used to be. So yeah, or it might not even bother you at all, just depending on what pace that you go at. But yes, and it's just seeing your reality as it is. Yeah, me personally, and I'm sure many others have experienced, either wanting things to be a different way, or wanting things to continue being the way that they are currently. So wanting the good things to continue in life, and also not wanting the bad things to come, if that makes sense. But that's also just changing your mindset too, as far as what you believe to be good and bad too as well. That's another point that you come to realize when you experience Vipassana and just start getting into all the Dharma stuff and stuff like that, and just really understanding what life really is, and kind of seeing it similar to how nature is as well, the role that nature plays in our life. It really is like that, similar. And I feel like us humans, we definitely do overcomplicate life. I definitely have myself. Things could just be a lot more simpler and a lot more enjoyable, if we would just detach, observe, and try to see things through a different lens, and also just go within and not even try to apply so much logic, not try to let your mind control so much. Yeah, you'll never be free if your mind is always at the front end and taking control over everything in your life. As much as that may feel like it's protecting you, it's really not. Ultimately, it's leading you further and further down a hole and just making you more and more miserable. That might be me projecting, I don't know. It might work for some people, but for me personally, no. Let's start getting into why I even decided to do something like this. What really drew me to it? When you just get truly and truly tired. Like, and I've said that I've been tired for many years of my life, but especially in November, December, that's when I really started like feeling it at its all-time high and just really feeling rock bottom. when the universe just strips you more and more and more down, and you really see yourself, like, through your experiences with other people, just through different situations in life, you really just see things for what they are more and more, and you just really grow tired of your BS, and tired of the way that you live life, and the way that you constantly put yourself in misery in ways. That's pretty much where I was, and especially the fact that I was so self-aware of all these things, yet I don't know, it just seemed so hard for me to actually apply that change. I felt very lost and confused as far as, well, like, how do I actually get to the point of letting go? Something within me was just clinging and clinging and clinging, like, no matter how miserable, clinging and craving or whatever was making me, and constantly wanting things to be different. It's like I would literally digest and take in all of the advice from all of the different self-help people. I'll read all the books and stuff like that, yet I'll have so much trouble properly applying it to my life. And I just wasn't sure why or how, and honestly I think it just came with a matter of time and patience with myself, and again, just being more consistent with things. And like I said, this Vipassana retreat definitely put some more consistency in me, more consistency than ever, because of the fact that it was 10 days long. And another thing that really drew me in was the length of it, the fact that it would be 10 days of silence. You don't talk to people, you don't look at them, don't make eye contact, no type of gestures. All you do is meditate for 12 hours a day. You watch a video at the end or whatever where the teacher talks about everything that you're experiencing and what past students have experienced as well at your point that you might be going through. And that kind of like calms the mind a little bit more. It makes you feel like, okay, I'm not tripping, I'm not crazy for like feeling the way that I do about this experience. Like, this is a normal pace that I'm going at. And another thing that really drew me in was, I feel like because I was so tired, I was truly just willing to put myself through new experiences, and maybe with having some type of guidance from people that have done this longer than me, especially it being in person and not just me reading a book or watching videos, just getting my dopamine levels up or whatever, and just feeding off their energy in that way. I knew that this experience would truly be one of self, even with the teachers and stuff that's there. I knew it would essentially be up to me to get through things. And one thing that I did like is that you would still be able to talk to the student managers and the assistant teachers or whatever about things or any concerns that you might have had, just in case there's any emergencies, or your mind is just taking you too far to where you're a little bit unstable or whatever. I'm also currently in my 9 year, and I know that 2025 is also a universal year 9, so personal year combined with that, so it's like double the energy. I'm also 23 as well, and that in astrology, I believe that's called my 12th house perfection year. I'm not sure my viewers are really into that. I mean, if you're not, that's cool, but me personally, I found that it has applied pretty accurately to different timelines in my life. And the 12th house perfection year is also about like endings, closure, and changes and stuff like that, and as is with the energy of the number 9. So I knew that walking into 2025, that's what I would have been experiencing. And all throughout November, December, I just kept feeling the pre-shadow period of that. Like, you need to get this together. Like, you need to finally release and let go so that you can prepare for the newness that, you're constantly seeking or whatever. And I know that it's also about, tying up loose ends and stuff like that, closure, and really just finishing all the things that you've been trying to finish throughout the past few years or whatever of this cycle that you've been in. I knew that starting 2025 off with that would definitely be something that would benefit me in some type of way, because I'm just in a healing phase, and I knew that you know, aligning myself with this energy in the wintertime as well would also be something great, because I do believe that the new year is actually in the springtime. I definitely agree with that perspective, but I do still believe in like the calendar new year too in that way. And I know that the winter time is also about hibernation and stuff like that, and still letting go and shedding and stuff like that, and preparing yourself for the replenishing and the regrowth and stuff like that that comes with the springtime or whatever. Or preparing to plant seeds. There we go. Because in the spring you're planting seeds and you're letting the water grow up on it or whatever, so that it can sprout in late spring to the summertime or whatever. Y'all get what I'm trying to say. Also, I was just very stressed and burnt out, doing what I do. I live a very unconventional life. I do have a lot of freedom, doing this, the ability to just do pretty much whatever I want whenever I want, as long as it fits within my financial budget or whatever. Yeah, and that's another topic too, as far as the finance thing. That's another reason why I went in there, like to really get that under control and get that together, as far as like letting go of the limiting beliefs or whatever, and my perception of it as well, growing up with like the scarcity mindset and everything, and just being that person, like the first person, one of the first people in your family, because I don't want to discredit anybody else that may be trying to get through this too, but being one of the first people in your family to really try to break free of that habit. Yeah, like I realized that I was gonna have to do something different, really do the work and really open myself up to new experiences. And I don't know, I think maybe that's also the Leo in me, the Sagittarius that I got to somewhere, or the Mars or whatever, to where I'm open to doing just about whatever, as long as I know that it feels safe in here, my intuition, my heart or whatever. But I'm pretty open to learning a lot of new things and just trying stuff out to see if it really works for me, because the mind can only prepare you for so much. Sometimes you just have to do stuff to see if it's actually for you. How else will you really know? Leading up to it or whatever, I had to make a big decision whether or not I was going to have some content or whatever. Have some content racked up. But ultimately it was a little bit too late, because I was waitlisted for this experience. I believe I was 26 on the wait list. And then like about 4 or 5 days before the retreat started, they told me I had moved up to number 10 on the wait list. And for these type of things, something to keep in mind if you want to do it is, if you get waitlisted, you're gonna have to have a pretty open schedule around it. Like, this is why it's super important. Like, if you work a 9-to-5 job to where your schedule, your time is very, very limited, you need to like sign up as soon as the application's open. Or else you're gonna be like me, where you get waitlisted and just have to be on call pretty much, because sometimes they'll end up contacting you the day the retreat starts or the night before to see if you can make it if somebody else decides not to go anymore. So yeah, I found out like either 3 or 2 days, I believe it was 2 days before the retreat started, that I got selected, because all those people just dropped out or whatever. And yeah, I'm like, okay, cool. Now I have to decide if I want to rack up a whole bunch of content and burn myself out even more, because I'll be relaxing anyways for 10 days. Or if I'll just prepare myself for this and, I don't know, just take it easy on myself. And obviously I decided to just take some time away. I know a handful of you guys actually noticed that I was gone for a while. That was actually surprising to me. I was like, what? Y'all be looking forward to my stuff? That's crazy. But yeah, and I'm glad that I did that, honestly. I definitely was afraid that somehow I might lose all the momentum that I built up or what I had gained and stuff like that. Of course, just having this attachment to, what I've managed to build and stuff like that. And this attachment to the idea of me, mine, and stuff belonging to me. That's another thing that makes you miserable too. I don't know, just not really having that belief that the algorithm would still, be there for me and stuff like that, and that it would just push me back in some type of way, pretty much, because that's just how social media can be a lot of the times. If you take some time away, and just me having this guilt that I had as far as like taking a break from things and feeling like in some way I don't really deserve it, or it'll be seen as lazy, especially with how this generation is viewed. You know, I'm a part of the Gen Z or whatever, and we're the ones, I ain't gonna, you know, say it's just us, but like this generation has truly started something as far as waking people up to like the truth of what life should really be. And that might not even be the right wording, because who are you to say what life should or shouldn't be for somebody? But I guess one of the problems in America, especially with this hustle culture, and again constantly just burning yourself out and feeling like you need to apply crazy amounts of effort and energy and put all your energy into just working and build up for your future, when the future is always now anyways. So yeah, just us getting caught up in that mindset. Yeah, and this generation has definitely started to shift that perspective, and you know, with everybody trying to start, you know, businesses, be an entrepreneur, do content creation like I'm doing and stuff like that, and try to take more control over your life in a way. Well, as far as what you can control in essence, and not really feel like a slave to your life. And that's not to bash anyone that has a 9-to-5. If it works for you, it works for you. But yeah, and especially if you like it too, if you find a healthy one, because I definitely believe you can find one that doesn't do that to you. I might be able to one day too, who knows. Fast forward, I, you know, got there or whatever, and on the way to the place, I drove there, and I was just praying that I got a decent roommate or whatever, as far as like cleanliness and just not smelly as far as like going to the bathroom and pooping and stuff, because let me tell you, I don't know, I guess I got like a little bit of a phobia with that, and like just the possibility of them getting poop on the toilet or something. Like, I don't know. I know some people, especially coming from all over the world, we all have, you know, different mannerisms or ways of living, to say the least. So yeah, I was just praying for the right fit for me to make this experience as comfortable as possible. And the way that the rooms are set up is, you know, you have your own room. It's kind of like one big room with 2 beds, but there's a wall separating in between. So in a way, it's still your own separate room, and then you share a bathroom, and all of that is behind, you know, one big door or whatever. And when I had got in there, they told me I was going to be in a room with a bunk bed, and I was like, huh, excuse me? Which would mean that, you know, I don't have a wall separating or whatever, that there would possibly be some accidental, you know, awkward eye contact or whatever, and just not truly feeling like it's a private experience for real. At least just me, that's how, you know, I would feel going into that. And like, let's say I get out the shower and I want to get dressed, you know, in the bedroom and not in the bathroom, like not being able to do that because you're not allowed to, you know, be naked in front of people or do anything like that. In no way can you be distracting to anyone during this experience. So yeah, I was a bit upset to hear about that, because I was one of the few people that, you know, got selected for this room, and I was completely unaware that that was even an option to do that. And yeah, I had gotten to my room, I calmed myself down, and I was like, let me not be entitled about this. Like, I'm grateful to have even gotten chosen for something like this, and it might not take away from the experience as much as my mind is making me think, and trying to be in control and protect me or whatever. And feeling like it knows what's best for me. So yeah, fast forward later in the night and the next day too, I pretty much, you know, I did not have a roommate. I just had literally, there were like 2 sets of bunk beds, so I had like 3 beds to myself and literally my own bathroom as well, like the way that that specific room was set up. So I didn't have to share anything with anyone. Yet I was like a little bit, you know, down about it earlier on, but in the end, it's like God just kept hearing my prayers or whatever, as far as just helping to make this experience as easy and flowing as possible, so that I can really get through it with great strength and protection and stuff. So I'm definitely grateful for that. Also too, like the first day that I got there, you know, we're actually able to talk with the other people before we go silent. The experience starts at 8 p.m. or whatever, either 8 or 8:30. I'm not sure about the specific time, but yeah. we had like a dinner or whatever before it started too, and like an introduction, and then our first meditation would be the start of the silent experience. But like I said beforehand, we got to talk to everybody, and I talked to like 4 people, and 2 of the girls that sat at my table, they actually happened to be, you know, returning students or whatever, and that was really nice to hear their experience before going into it, because I felt like, I don't know, it was able to ease a little bit of anxiety that I had, like, and concern, because I'm just like, I don't know what to expect. It's like, of course, I was hearing other people's experiences on the internet, like on YouTube videos and stuff, but still, like, with my mind, it's just overthinking or whatever. And it was just nice to hear, because one girl, it was going to be her 3rd time, you know, participating in something like this. The other girl, it was going to be her 4th time, and the one that had did it 4 times, she said her first experience actually wasn't the best, and that was because so much anxiety kept taking over, and she couldn't really fully indulge in experience and really get to a point of enlightenment or whatever. Of course, why would you expect full enlightenment, you know, your first experience? But she just said the more that she kept doing it, the better that she got at it, the better each experience was, and the more she could appreciate it. And the other girl, she said she absolutely loved it, like all her experiences, even the first one. And of course it was hard at times, but one thing she just kept telling herself is, you know, the only way out is through. And I swear that's one thing that stayed with me throughout this whole experience. I kept telling myself that, like, the only way out is through, because I definitely had days where I was ready to get up out of there, like, what did I sign up for? So yeah, that was very refreshing in a way, and just other motivating words or whatever, and just encouraging me and whatnot. And yeah, again, I felt like that was another, you know, blessing from God, from the universe, again, to make my experience, you know, more easier. And then I also saw a ladybug too, so that was nice. I don't know if y'all believe in that type of stuff, but I do. I know they symbolize, you know, good luck, protection, and stuff like that, abundance, and all that. So that was also another sense of comfort that I had received before it started, and I felt ready for it after that. The first meditation started, it was definitely very hard to stay in this position, like I said, and my mind was definitely wandering. We do hear lots of, like, you know, mantras or whatever, so that's something to keep in mind and get used to, because some of them can go on for like 30 minutes long, like, especially, it is actually the first meditation that you do, the 4:30 to 6:30 meditation. I swear it goes on for like 20 to 30 minutes, like the singing. So you really have to have the patience for it if it's not something that you're used to or that you typically enjoy. So yeah, day 1 I would say was a breeze for me, because again, I was so tired, and yeah, I was just happy to unplug from the world, get off social media and whatnot. And of course it was a little bit hard, but that was only when I decided to start, like, thinking to the future too much and be like, okay, is every day gonna feel like this, like a breeze? I hope so, but what if it doesn't? Like, just starting to, again, think too much about it and not be present enough. That was another big reason why I came here, to learn some presence and be right here, right now. So yeah, then day 2 came, and that was tough. That one was definitely tough, and apparently that's one of the tougher days for many students, day 2 and day 6. But as far as my day 2, yeah, I was ready to find my keys, find all my belongings, my valuables, and dip. I don't know, it was just very hard, like I said, and I feel like that was mostly because I wasn't really able to bring myself to a place of balance for real with all the thoughts, especially with the negative stuff coming up, and I'm just thinking about any and everything, and also not being able to silence my mind, feeling like I'm out of control when it comes to that, and that is just like taking over to where I can't even just be still in that way internally. So I definitely wanted to leave, and I was just like, did I really come here just to like sit here in this position all day long at these specific times? And it's cold outside too, so it's not like I can just go out into nature as long as I would like to and just, you know, enjoy that. But just to like sit here and just observe right here, because the first 3 days you just observe the nasal passage or whatever, so that you can learn how to sharpen your focus in your mind and stuff like that, to be able to, you know, expand it to every part of your body. So yeah, it might not sound that extreme like as you're hearing it now, but once you go through it, it's like, how many times are you going to do this? And again, once it's so silent, the time just moves by way slower. And managed to get through day 2, and then came, you know, day 3. That was pretty much the same, a little bit annoyed, well, no, very annoyed, but it was more tolerable. Day 4, that's when the full body started to get introduced, and I would say that actually was a big jump. As tired as I was getting, you know, from like just only doing this part of the face or whatever, the nasal passage, that was a big jump. And I was like, dang, I was, you know, in such a rush to like move to the next step, but I didn't realize it would be kind of extreme even doing that in the first place, as far as like getting my focus to be there, to be able to concentrate on all these parts of the body, while also all these thoughts and stuff are coming up in emotions, and, you know, a combination of me getting impatient with myself about it and frustrated. And that's going to be something that you need to learn how to master. You have to, you know, allow space for your emotions, but do it from a place of observing them and not judging them, or not trying to fight them off, or not trying to control what comes up. You just naturally let it flow. And that's another thing too, now that I say that, if you have anything specifically that you're trying to work through, like once you go here, or something that you want to let go of, like something specific that comes to mind, don't try to force it. Like, don't go into the meditation thinking about it and setting an intention to release that specific thing, because it just won't work that way. You have to let things naturally flow. And again, every single day is taking you deeper, so it's taking you to the root cause of whatever that specific thing is in mind. Or let's say you already know what the root is. Again, you still have to just let it naturally flow, because you can't control what comes up at what specific moment. And again, that's just learning what presence really is, and learning the natural flow of life, and just letting things happen, accepting things as they are, not how you want them to be, accepting that this specific thing is going to come up, and not maybe the specific thing that you want to come up, so that you can release, you know, in your timing. So it's just releasing control when it comes to that too, and just trusting the whole experience, that you release whatever you need to, and whatever needs to come up, it shall. One thing to expect, well, another thing to expect is that you definitely have a lot of traumas come up if that's something that you've experienced. Of course, it's just bound to happen. I've heard many people say that they experienced that. You'll have many past memories, even the most random ones. You'll start thinking about people you haven't spoken to or thought about in years. Like, I was thinking all the way back to elementary school when I was in kindergarten. I'm like, how do I even remember these people? Like, and why are they on my mind now? But again, that's just you going deeper and deeper into your subconscious. But now you're just consciously aware of like what's going on in there, if that makes sense. Like, oh yeah, another thing, you won't be able to journal. You won't be able to draw. You won't be able to dance or, you know, sing or anything like that. Like, it's complete silence in that way. You're literally doing nothing but meditating, eating, drinking tea. That's it. And you can talk to the people, like I said, the student manager and the assistant teachers if you need to, but that's literally it. Like, no type of distractions, because all of those can be forms of it that take away from the experience. So yeah. And then let's move on to like day 5, 6 or whatever. Day 5 was just regular. I was just, you know, still continuing to practice the full body thing. Let me check the camera. Then came day 6. I was getting frustrated with myself again, like the first half of the day at least, like the first 2 meditations. Then, the second half, I don't know, I was able to really, I don't want to say baby myself, but parent myself, let's say it like that. And I don't know, give myself a lot of encouragement and stuff like that, because I definitely think I was experiencing a moment of treating myself as I had been treated throughout my childhood, when I would not, do good in someone else's eyes or whatever, or just not do good enough, or maybe I'm going at, too slow of a pace and not getting things as quickly as someone might want me to. So that kind of got ingrained within me to treat myself like that, because that's how I got treated, and those were the expectations that were placed upon me to always be perfect. It was pretty nice that I was able to come back from that and, like I said, really calm myself down and bring myself back, or whatever, center myself. It also was just a moment of realizing life doesn't have to be that serious, because I was also putting a lot of pressure on myself to release all these different things. It's like, I have these 10 days to myself, silence, no distractions. I need to take full advantage of this. Like, there's no way that I'm going to walk up out of here and not release everything that I know needs to be released. When that was just completely unrealistic. Knowing how much that I've been through and how many programs and stuff that I have, and seeds of misery that have grown and grown, or whatever, the dead roots that I still need to pick out so that I could replant and, regrow a whole new garden. Like, things like that takes time, and that's something that I definitely learned from this experience. But again, I learned how to not take it so seriously and feel this intense pressure to have it all figured out within just 10 days. Like, how am I expecting to be, this completely healed person within just 10 days? Like, no, be for real. And I definitely had some moments where I was smiling, like, even before day 6 too, like, moments where I was smiling and laughing a little bit, but silently. Just thinking about different memories, but also just feeling really grateful for where I was at, and especially when I would go eat lunch. I definitely felt grateful for that. Like, wow, all of this is provided for me, and it's a free experience, and it's healing for me as well. I'm immensely grateful that I get to do something like this and really test it out to see if it'll actually, heal me or whatever. And even if it, doesn't help me in any way, if I found that it didn't resonate with me, at least, I'm showing up for myself in this way, and I'm putting myself out there to try something new. Like, I'm proud of myself for that. And it's very hard for me to feel those feelings of being proud and stuff, because again, of that overachiever thing that I still kind of have ingrained within me. Day 7, day 8, those were decent, I would say. I had some moments where I was actually able to connect with my higher self, with my intuition, and really get some clarity and answers for things, that I was very unsure of, because I was, leading with logic. And that was actually really nice, because I, found it hard to really hear that and operate from that space rather than my mind being in the outside world. Yeah, and also, consuming so many other perspectives or whatever, being on TikTok and Instagram and stuff like that. YouTube too. It would be very hard to really trust myself and trust what I'm feeling within. So the more that I would rely on other people's perspectives, the more silent I would be, like, within, if that makes sense, or the more that I couldn't hear myself and hear the truth of, like, what was best for me when it came to different situations. So that definitely was nice as well. The more that I did it, I just, got more used to the posture, used to the pains, and just not reacting to them, and being more gentle with my thoughts. And again, like I said, it was hard. I definitely had moments where I had different songs playing in my head, so that may happen to you as well. And it was very annoying. Like, I literally had this gospel song stuck in my head 4 days, like every single day. It's called Close by Marvin Sapp. And boy, oh boy, I don't know, maybe that was just something that made it easier for me to get through, and I don't know, my subconscious or something or whatever. Maybe it was my higher self that just knew I needed to keep hearing that. So just keep faith or something, like, girl, you're close to your destiny, you're close. Just keep going. I would say day 9 was very transformative for me. I definitely put a lot of pressure on myself that day because I knew it would be the last day of silence before day 10 when we got the chance to talk and do the experiments. I'll explain that in a bit. But yeah, day 9, I wanted to feel the full body of vibrations. That's another thing that they teach you about Vipassana. The more that you just observe your senses, the more that you realize that you always have senses throughout your body, but you just don't pay attention enough to actually be able to feel them unless they're like, stand out, quite a bit, like they're gross sensations. That's what the teacher says. But yeah, and soon you'll realize that the body has like a flow of vibrations that goes up and down, but a lot of the times you'll feel blocked in a lot of areas. And the science behind that explanation, this might not make that much sense, but when you feel the senses, that is supposed to be the stuff within the subconscious mind that is coming up through the senses on your body, and it can manifest in any sort of way, whether it's an unpleasant one or a pleasant one. You just have to learn how to accept it and release, and learn that it will pass on. And as far as what I felt, I don't really know how to tie it to what specific trauma that I went to. Like, oh, because I'm feeling this stinging in my arm, that means that it's tied to, my trauma as a child, as far as needing to be an overachiever or whatever. I don't think that you can necessarily tie it, to that or whatever, that specifically was released. Yeah, because you really don't know. You shouldn't try to identify. You should just let it flow or whatever, like I said. So I don't know if I misunderstood it in that way, as far as like that's your trauma being released through the sensations, or if it was just, again, more so about retraining your mind to not be reactive through the senses on your body, whether it's good or bad senses. A key word that we had learned to call this is called equanimity. Y'all can definitely look that up. Like I said, it's not wanting the good sensations to continue, and also not wanting the bad ones to discontinue either, just letting it be. And another key word too that we kept hearing was anicca, and that means impermanent, and understanding things do not last forever. Day 9, like I said, I definitely wanted to feel the full flow of vibrations throughout the body, but I did not. I kept hearing it in other people's YouTube videos too, that they felt that like on the last few days or whatever, and I still hadn't. I felt vibrations in some spots, but not throughout the whole body. I felt all type of different sensations. You feel itching, you feel like stabbing a little bit. Sometimes it's like a lot of heat, coldness, goosebumps. You feel burning too sometimes. It's crazy. But yeah, then finally, towards the second to last meditation, I just kind of let that go and became okay with whatever this last day was going to bring, because that really doesn't matter. Like throughout the meditation, even though it was silent, the teacher was still sometimes throwing those little comments of anicca, equanimity, whatever, and just reminding us to not look for certain sensations, or just don't put yourself in the game of sensations of where you're searching for one. So don't try to force yourself into feeling the vibrations all throughout or crave it in any way. Because one person, they can feel the vibrations all throughout, but the next meditation they don't feel it at all, or they can only feel it in some spots. Like, it really doesn't matter. There's no importance or no favoritism over one being better than the other. So it's really just coming to understand that, and just accepting that this is what your body is feeling at that time, at this specific time, and just being okay with that. Finally, day 10 comes, and this is where we can actually talk to each other about our whole experience, and that was very overstimulating for me. Let me tell you, it felt illegal to even start talking again, to be honest. But yeah, the reason why we were talking on the 10th day is so it wouldn't be so much of a shock going back into the real world. With all these different interactions and social media and everything, it probably would have been even more overstimulating. I know it would have. So just getting to talk to a small group of people, it's a way of easing back into, your regular routine life, and seeing if you can be able to spread the joy and peace that you've been able to cultivate within to like other people as well, and seeing how you manage, situations or whatever in conversations, now that you have grasped this technique or whatever. You don't really get put in that many situations in there because you're not back in your 100% life yet. Like, we didn't get a chance to get on our phones or write or anything like that. I wanted to go back to my room a couple times. I'm just naturally introverted in a way, unless I'm around a specific type of person or whatever, or people, to where I'm just comfortable enough to just completely be open, and they just really bring my inner child out. But that's rare, and especially if I'm already tired. Doing this experience, I thought that in a way it would be a vacation and very relaxing for me. It was a break from physical work and what I do on social media, but mentally you're going in there working still. It just went from physical work to mental work. So in a way it still wasn't, that much of a rest for real, which is why I decided to take some time off even after the experience ended and I came back, because I'm I still need to recharge and stuff like that. But got through the 10th day, and then the experience was over. The girls were really cool and everything. Haven't really spoken to anybody after that. Maybe we will again one day, or see each other at another stay at the experience if we decide to do it again in the future. I definitely will. That was definitely something. I probably left out a few details, but hopefully this covers, a good amount of what this experience is. As far as key takeaways, I definitely want to talk about that. What did I, get from this experience? Definitely what I've, repeated all throughout it is accept things for what they are, not what you want them to be. Just being okay with where I am in life right here, right now, because that's just how it's supposed to be, especially if I'm in a place of healing and letting go of, certain beliefs and mindsets and stuff. It's I have to be patient with myself and with my journey, with my timeline and stuff like that, to go through all the steps that are necessary. I have to make sure my lawn or whatever is fertile, so that I could be able to, plant healthy plants and trees or whatever and stuff like that. So yeah, and I'm actually willing to, get through that. And I feel that's definitely something common within spirituality that they constantly teach you and say, but it's just different when you actually get that understanding for yourself and get the experience of really understanding that, and not just taking what somebody else is saying, taking their wisdom. Actually getting some wisdom for yourself because you've gone through the experience, like I said. Another one is, even when I had said something about the timeline, learning that, there's no past, there's no future. Of course there is, but not getting caught in that. The past happened, the future does not exist. The future is literally now. All that there is the present moment that is taking place. And as long as you are caught up in either the past or the future, you are just bound to be miserable, and you'll never truly be on the journey. You'll constantly be on the destination or where you were before, and that just keeps your life stagnant. That's why I've struggled with feeling stagnant before. It's it's not because I was being punished in any way or because I was doing something wrong with the action that I was taking. It was my mindset and how I was perceiving things, and again, just being in the past or the future. I'm constantly anticipating things and not enjoying where I was. And yeah, that's definitely something that has shifted a lot for me. I definitely have my moments where I struggle a little bit, of course, just with, being human and it being a process for me. As far as mostly just going into the future and trying to plan out and stuff like that. But I'm a lot more present than I once was before, and I'm proud of myself for it. So yeah, that was another key takeaway. Learning to, put myself in a position of the observing rather than absorbing the emotions and stuff that I feel that come up. I'm learning how to let them flow through me so that they can release and not be so scared to feel them, or get annoyed when they start to come up. Like, for example, I will constantly feel the need to protect myself in some ways. Like, let's say I get hurt from a relationship or whatever, or maybe a friendship or something, where I feel like, I might have been betrayed or whatever, or just simply sad that it didn't work out and wishing that it went another way. So let's say I try to be avoidant or whatever, or maybe I got this anxious attachment that I've developed, and both of those are just ways that you try to protect yourself from getting hurt in some way, whether that's overanalyzing situations and constantly trying to fix them or whatever, and work on things at a fast pace, like what avoidant attachment is, or if I just try to avoid relationships altogether. In order to protect myself from feeling that pain that I felt before. It's just like learning how to just let it be and not being afraid to get hurt in any way, because this is life, like you're meant to experience. And I feel like the more that you mature, the more that you experience, the less that you'll even be likely to perceive things as that way anyways, as far as getting hurt from stuff, especially when things don't work out, because you understand that everything is impermanent, nothing lasts forever. Like, just not attaching to the narrative that this person is meant to be here for the rest of my life, and just accepting that we're here in each other's lives right here, right now. We're building something beautiful together, or we have something beautiful here together, and not even focus on the building part. Or maybe you can, but just not too future focused, but what you're building up right here, right now. Like, we're adding bricks or whatever to this building right here, right now. And if we don't finish building it into this big, beautiful house that we both may have a desire to, then that's completely okay. It just wasn't meant to happen that way. On to the next person, on to the next experience, like whatever it is that life has for you. Another takeaway that I got from this as well is, understanding that not everybody is going to view life like you do, and being okay with that, or, not everybody is going to agree with your perspective, or do things the way that you would. Like I said, I definitely struggled with that before in the past, and even with this experience and just hearing from the teacher talk about all these different religions and stuff, and encouraging us to still be open if we feel like some sort of religion or perspective still applies to how we want to live, but we want to only take some points of what we learn from the Vipassana, and that's completely fine. Do whatever we feel is right, because I feel like I would be such a person that lives in such a black or white perspective, like it has to be this way or not at all, like type of thing. Like, for example, I didn't think that anybody could have any sort of Christianity beliefs or ways of living, but also be tied into spirituality. Like, there's no way that you could wear crystals but call yourself a Christian. Like, I would think that they would just have to be completely separate, and I wouldn't really understand people that would practice all of them or multiple things. And I would even find myself resonating with, different things of different religions or different perspectives, and not necessarily fitting completely into the New Age spirituality type of thing, or what a spiritual person is, or all these different labels. It's like, I'm just me at the end of the day, and I just need to take whatever resonates with me and leave whatever does not resonate with me, and not feel like I have to put myself in any sort of box. Like, I'm just uniquely me. Nobody else is me. Nobody else can mimic who I am, and need to learn how to absolutely love that. And yeah, honor that. Honor who I am, because obviously I was put here for a reason, to shine my lights, shine my talents, and shine who I am, because nobody else can do it like Chef A, like Angel can. So yeah, period. Definitely I learned the importance of discipline. I feel like I was already pretty disciplined beforehand, but not really when it came to self-care and doing things like this with the meditating and stuff. Yeah, it would always be more so work and things like that, and I was pretty consistent when it came to working out. But yes, my stuff is running out of storage, so I'm about to hurry it up real quick. But learning discipline, we were following a very strict schedule, as far as like the eating and doing all the different meditations, and like I said, I was pretty, all over the place when it came to self-care and doing my meditations and stuff, which is probably why I wasn't making as much progress. But yeah, learning the discipline within, these type of things, and doing that inner work and prioritizing discipline when it comes to that, because that's the most important thing. Everything is inward. All of this, the outwardly world, is, just a reflection of your inner world. So a lot of the times we miss out on working on the most important thing. We skip the most important step because of what society tells us is, the most important or whatever, and what we should prioritize, and especially living in this country. I probably got a couple more key takeaways or whatever. I might write that in the description or maybe in the comments or something. I don't know, but I hope this video definitely helped y'all as far as like Vipassana, and that I explained it well enough, like what it is, and my impact or whatever, well, the impact that it had on me. And I definitely encourage you to try it if it's something you feel drawn to, if you feel ready to confront yourself, to sit with yourself, and I don't know, stop running. Yeah, and understand this is going to be intense. Even the people that have been meditating for years, this has been one of the hardest things that they've experienced. It's one of the, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, definitely comment them down below. And thank you so much for watching. If you guys at this point, you're a real one. You're a great listener. Your attention span is on point, because I know that's something a lot of us struggle with nowadays, especially depending on the diet that you eat. Those are my personal beliefs with that. I'm into the holistic health, so yeah. Again, just thank you for even sharing the space with me, taking the time to listen, and I hope that I helped in any type of way. If something wasn't too clear, you have any questions, like I said, about my story or whatever, then definitely comment down below. And I hope you have a beautiful day. I hope you can feel the difference of energy within me as well compared to where I was before I did this retreat. And I look forward to sharing the rest of my February fasting with you guys throughout this month. As you guys might have seen, I am starting that again and finally doing my full body detox for a more prolonged period. That's something that I was procrastinating to, that this Vipassana retreat helped me gain clarity on, that I need to do finally, so that I could heal my guts and all the other things tied to that. So yeah, I'm excited to go on this journey with y'all, and let me know if I need to do more of these videos. I'm getting a little bit better at getting to the points, even though I'm still a little bit chatty. Yeah, I don't know. Much love to y'all, and I wish y'all love, light, and healing. And I don't know, just enjoy the present moment. Be grateful for where you are now. Live every day like it's your last. Death can be such a beautiful thing if you learn to appreciate it. And I don't know, knowing that life is impermanent, that you're gonna leave here one day, you learn to appreciate things much more. A lot of the times we forget that our time here is limited. So just appreciate. No matter how far down you may feel, somewhere within you can find that gratitude. I promise you. I'm praying for whoever is watching this, that you do whatever you are going through, I promise you can make it through. I thought I was not gonna make it through my last chapter. Like, I was just, yeah, very sad and just, ugh. But I'm glad to have, you know, cleared up a lot of space, and I'm continuing to do that and showing up every day. I still meditate twice a day with the Vipassana technique, and I look forward to bringing in visualization again at some point. I have not just yet. But yeah, just because I don't want to attach to any specific outcomes, but I'm just testing it out again, like I said, just trying things out and seeing what I can take and what I can't, because Vipassana is definitely something that I want to take with me all throughout my life in general, at least where I am right now. After all, the future is now anyways. That's where I am currently. So yeah, y'all, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.